Oh my god! Oh wow! This is a complete existential crisis! So here we are, folks, chapter 89 of the Dragon Ball Super Manga, and honestly, I kinda like where this is going. It kinda feels like Scooby Doo some more, with the fact that Trunks basically is acting like Shaggy right now. Is this really Dragon Ball? Kinda doesn't feel like Dragon Ball. Kinda feels like a slice of life story, but not. Either way, we're going to get on to Chapter 89's review, and before we start though, could you please lightly tap the like button for me, please? I'd love to see more people's thoughts about the manga and show them it is actually really good. Just give it a chance. Let's talk about Chapter 89. And for those of you asking, I read the manga every month via Viz's online portal. Not a sponsor, just how I do it. That's how I roll it. I recommend you support the official release. Either way, the chapter opens with Trunks attempting to access a disc he found a few days earlier. Trunks does access it via Bulma's computer and successfully gets to the files, which turns out to be Cell at his larval stage, so early blueprints of Cell. Okay. However, the computer crashes from a virus on the disk, and Trunks at the moment is just like, oh boy, I don't know how to use computers even though I grew up around them. So Bulma and her daughter Bulla arrive seconds after Trunks removes the disk, and Bulla is the one to fix it because, you know, we gotta make out that Trunks is a complete dolt. And Bulma rubs salt into the wound, saying, oh, you've inherited your dad's sense of breaking things. Aw, Mom! But in other news, Bulma's enrolled Mai as a new student at Blue Hal High School to try and just make sure that she makes friends and also drive attention away from the fact that she's hired a high school girl and kept her away from school. She doesn't want people saying things. Trunks is excited and nervous because typical high school romance, but some of the boys want to approach her, but Trunks just shoos them away because she's mine in my head! God, you need to be stopped, Trunks. And conveniently, the teacher assigns Mai to Trunks to help her get her acclimated. How convenient. Because transfer student. But during PE, things take a turn for the worse because Trunks is playing a game of basketball with the rest of the class, but he's trying to show Mai how good he is. But Baytah, who is also a new transfer student and totally doesn't look like Android 18 but male, takes the ball from Trunks and scores despite Trunks' efforts to stop him. Oh my god, is that the beta male? That's obviously one of Dr. Hedo's creations, the sequel to the alpha droids from the last one. He has a new hideaway near the harbour and is revealed to be watching the video feed via Baytah's eyes. He has special eyes. Dr. Hedo asks his alpha androids if Trunks is the same guy who overcame them and took the disc originally, but the androids only go, duh, I think it was only a blonde kid that did it. Oh, I'm getting Golden Warrior vibes here, folks. Oh, Super Saiyan's the ultimate disguise. What was Dr. Hedo's biggest regret out of the whole situation? That he didn't put security cameras in his Mount Butterfly mansion and facility. Well, what? Just another case of Dragon Ball geniuses making dumb moves. Mai then notices a bruise on Baytah's neck and informs Trunks that she believes that he isn't human. But then Trunks is like, zoinks! Oh my god, why is he a ghost? No. He's more likely to be an android. So Mai is being the rational one here, and I'm just expecting one of these guys at high school that they work with to go, okay gang, let's split up and search for clues. Seriously, the Scooby Doo parallels are just ridiculous. And no, I'm not going to be talking about the thing which is now actually scoring worse than Dragon Ball Evolution on IMDb. Go and look it up yourself. So Mike keeps looking at Baytah, giving him the evils and just trying to figure out more information. The rest of the chapter basically summates in the fact that Baytah and Trunks are trying to one-up each other and Mai is just not buying it. They butt heads over basketball, they butt heads over maths, then about soup. Trunks is trying to make sure that his identity is kept secret, even though he's trying to figure out who Baytah is and really rumble him. But then Goten's just there lifting Trunks to get tennis balls. I'm sorry, that's just really funny because Trunks is trying to be sneaky and Goten just isn't. It's also kind of endearing, but it means that Goten's now in the spotlight, so Baytah goes after him, trying to take him down, despite him knowing nothing about the disc. Remember, in the previous chapter, Trunks found it, not him. And after many fisticuffs, the Saiyaman do indeed stop Baytah and his new battle jacket sidekick called Baytah 2. Mai then reveals after all of this, and seeing Saiyaman X1 in the flesh, she can feel again. Emotions. And Hedo is left frustrated at his defeat and vows to make more androids to stop the likes of the Saiyamen. Ones with capes like X1, which he actually kind of likes, which will become, obviously, the Gammas because they have capes. All in all, this chapter was satisfying, but it kind of had some flaws about it, but I think it's just indicative of the Dragon Ball formula itself. There were quite a lot of slice-of-life high school elements, which I really recognize from previous works that I really like, quite frankly, any other high school anime. It just doesn't really feel right, but I can tell that Toyotaro and Toriyama are trying really hard. But having said that, I like the fact that Dragon Ball Super is trying to give it a go and trying to flesh out and establish the environment that Trunks and Goten reside in. The fact that they are high school students, they don't always get things right, they have a healthy cast of characters to back them up. That was one of the things the Saiyaman saga kinda lacked. Sure, you had Sharpener and Irasa, but that was it. You got ruler, scale, compass, all sorts really, and they're all diverse, and they all have their own quirks just by looking at them. It's much fuller than the previous outing. And I do like the fact that Trunks does have actual hobbies, and he isn't always the best when it comes to things, because the younger Trunks, the younger present Trunks, was absolutely irritating and frustrating at the fact that, oh, he seemed to be great at everything. Now, not so much. He's a bumbling teenager. But then again, that can also get a little bit aggravating. Can you see what I'm trying to say here? This chapter felt very ambivalent for me. I like the fact that they were trying new things and trying to deviate from the typical Dragon Ball formula that we've seen for nearly 40 years, but at the same time, I don't think they executed it quite right. But again, points for trying. But I think throughout all of this, Goten is just simply adorable. The juxtaposition between him and Trunks in this chapter is really entertaining. Trunks is trying to be all sneaky and devious, trying to figure out who Baytah is, and then Goten is just there, being completely oblivious about everything, just going about his day. And this is something that I really noticed about Trunks in particular. Trunks is the one that's just flapping around, trying to keep his head above water regarding everything. Regarding his relationship with Mai, his time at school, having to be the best jock, worried about what people think of him. But Goten, though? He's probably the most self-assured and relaxed I've ever seen him in the entire franchise. Goten just don't care. Goten's just gonna be going about his business, doing what he wants. He doesn't have to impress anybody. He just has to be. And I actually think this is the best version of Goten I've ever seen. The fact that he doesn't really worry about stuff. He goes out to help people. He wants to be a nice person. He just wants to live. Trunks was the chill one before, now he's not. He's so flustered about everything. This dynamic they have is really fascinating. It's one of the big pluses of this entire beginning of the arc. But also when the chips are down and they do become the Saiyamen, they work well together. Really sort of outdoing their dads, with Whis going on, oh, you have to work together and all that. Well, Trunks and Goten can do that already. Now, okay, I want to talk about Baytah here. It makes total sense about who he is, that he doesn't really have much of a personality. It's kind of deliberate. The point was that Dr. Hedo wanted to make an android that was a little bit more integrated into human society, because the alpha droids are basically just a bunch of zombie muscle men wearing football gear and other sports equipment for some reason, whereas Baytah is a relatively convincing type of android. It took the likes of Mai's clever thinking to try and rumble him, so there is progress there, which will then go on to be the Gammas, because, okay, that's a good point here. So you go from something relatively convincing as a human to then, oh no, I'm just gonna copy a superhero mascot sidekick kind of guy with a cape, because the cape's very important. I mean, okay, to be fair, the Gammas are more endearing and they are more impressive. Yeah, Baytah, I think, will be relatively forgotten. Just a real carbon copy of General Blue, honestly. For a second there, I thought it was just a reincarnation of General Blue. Baytah was just there to fuel the plot along, so it's understandable why he doesn't have a personality, because the Gammas have that. Hedo observed Trunks and the Saiyaman for who they were, the fact they were eccentric, loud, brash, had loads of charisma, so why not have the Gammas have that in their own way? Then there's Mai and Hedo, kinda. They're both very smart but make very weird choices, and really silly ones, like Hedo not having cameras at his secret base even though he thought of everything else, and Mai not deducing that X1 is basically Trunks despite seeing many clues and her sensing directly that Saiyaman X1 feels very familiar. But aside from all of that, the biggest revealing thing that made me actually sit down and think and go, damn girl, you got problems. Once she saw the tattered cape of Saiyaman X1 and was reminded of future Trunks from the Goku Black Saga that she frequented with a few years ago when she was younger, made her feel emotion again. The way she described it was, for the first time in a while, I can feel again. What was she going through? Had she spent the few subsequent years after that encounter in the Goku Black Saga just a husk, existing, lamenting the fact that this future Trunks was nothing like the present Trunks, this present Trunks who was down bad for her her doing her job for the Capsule Corp, him just irritating her constantly. Nothing like the future boy. Oh my god. Oh wow. This is a complete existential crisis. It makes you really stop and think, really. That one sentence just completely rewrites Mai throughout the entire thing. She just was completely emotionless until now. Jeez. So it takes the likes of Saiyaman X1 to make her actually care about stuff and not just work for the sake of responsibility and duty, and that she used to be a baddie and feels to have to atone for her previous actions. So maybe, yeah, it may lead to Trunks growing up and maturing, or maybe they actually don't get together since he's not the future one. So that is an intriguing thought, and it does provide hope for the fact that Trunks may get with somebody else. The action is more comedic, but that's okay, since it's the equivalent of the Saiyaman saga from Boo. And that was already entertaining in of itself. This is just the precursor to what we saw in the superhero movie. And despite Hedo being a bad guy, he really does have some quirky qualities which make him more relatable, and we sort of forgive him for it. He's not your average mad Dragon Ball scientist here. And so we then found out what was actually on the disc. It wasn't really that special, and to be fair, it couldn't really be that show-stealing. It was just files of Cell in his larval state and the original blueprint, but then it got corrupted. It was just a part of the story to sort of tie Cell into the overall plot later, that there would be a developed Cell, that Hedo got the disc to pass the information about Cell, to then maybe make his own version of Cell Max, but he obviously wouldn't have the tools at the time, it's just something he had in storage. Okay, I like that, it connects it to the movie, but it was just mainly an Easter egg for the moment. Will they try and access it again and copy it thanks to Bulla showing up Trunks, and maybe they can actually safely recover the files from it? I don't really know. But okay, one more time with Trunks. Who is he meant to be exactly? He's even more of a goofball, bad with computers, basically just, as I said, shaggy. He's just nothing like what we've grown to expect. I like it and I sort of don't. But yeah, but aside from that, the chapter was fun. It had some cool notes about it, and it ultimately was a satisfying addition to Chapter 88's eccentric entry. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like it? Do you feel like it builds up more towards the superhero arc? Do you feel like you understand more about the androids? Let me know in the comments, and I shall see you for the next review. Catch you later.